This is video SN1. It provides information about how to figure out what your students' areas of strength and their needs are. Sometimes teachers will get a file on ELLs from the school, but not always, especially, for example, if the student came directly from another country, or from a refugee camp, or if they haven't been in school regularly. In order to know and support students, teachers need to find out as much as possible, or at least as much as needed, in the following areas: educational background, linguistic background, cultural background, family background, and their immigration background. First, educational background. Many migrant students attend classes between crops that they pick or between moves with their family. The school will usually try to help with some of the questions that need to be asked, but teachers need to be sure to find out: has the student ever been to school? For how many years or parts of years? In what language or languages has the student studied? What was the last grade the student was in? How successful were they in that grade? What's the student's favorite subject? What other interests does the student have, both in school and outside of school? What topics has the student previously covered in classes, and what instructional style has the student experienced? Finally, what technology skills does the student have? How do teachers find out about these ideas? The questions that the school doesn't ask or have an interpreter for can be found out in a variety of ways. For example, teachers should first review the school file for the student if one exists. Talking with the ESL teacher can often bring help, especially if the student is in program. Talk with parents or other available family members. Provide a simple survey with a one-word answer or perhaps even a picture answer in the first language or the second language, English. Observe. And just ask the student. Second, linguistic background. Questions to ask include: what language does the student speak at home? Sometimes there might be more than one. What other languages does the student speak? If a student is proficient in more than one language, or at least one language, there's lots of hope for quick achievement in English. Has the student had any exposure to English, and if so, what kind? Can the student read in any language? Which language? At what level are the individual skills, reading, writing, listening, and speaking, in English? These questions are important to help the teacher plan the language parts of the class, and also to figure out the value of languages for the student and family, and where that student might get additional support for learning English. There are many ways to explore students' language abilities. The school is required to conduct a state-sanctioned test. Aside from that information, teachers can remember to assess both BICS and KELP. They can ask students to point out letters on the alphabet chart, or have a district interpreter ask questions. Keep in mind that students may initially be experiencing culture shock, may be reticent to interact with an authority figure, or may just be tired and or shy, and teachers need to be sure not to judge the student's ability the day they get there, or from a one-shot assessment. As you find out about the student's cultural background, be careful not to make judgments or unfavorable comparisons. Your job as a teacher is to accept and work with, not change, the students. Provide each child every opportunity for achievement. Ways to find out about cultural background: start with not assuming. This could have really negative consequences for students. To start with, the teacher can tap resources at school and in the community. For example, culturegrams, the CIA fact book, community members, and other cultural information are available at the touch of a mouse. However, it's important not to assume that every student will fit the stereotype of their culture, ethnic, or national group. Students can draw, write personal stories to help you understand their cultural background, and keep cultural journals. More information about these strategies can be found in the Egbert and Ernst text. These strategies are a good basis for asking students questions such as, "I read that something. Is that true of you and your family? Could you explain more about what you wrote in your cultural journal?" Even having students draw a picture of their previous home could tell what's important to them. It's important to understand that family members of ELLs could vary greatly. Some still may be in the home country, and others may have been victims of war or other uncomfortable situations. Even though young children often work in the family's business, they can participate in school activities. Teachers need to think about ways to accommodate these students. Interactive homework, described in another video, is one good way. Teachers can call on siblings or other more knowledgeable English language learners to help students in school and out of school. How can teachers find out about students' family situations? They can ask, observe, and confirm, and here the confirm part is most important. What you see isn't always what's going on. Again, have students draw, discuss, or do a home visit. Not common anymore, this strategy not only helps teachers bond with the family, but also can provide a lot of information about the student. Families consider this an honor and a sign of interest by the school in many cases. Sometimes immigration issues are too sensitive to ask. For example, refugees from Vietnam who have experienced trauma might not want to or be able to discuss where they came from. If possible, here are some questions that teachers should try to have answered. Under what conditions did the student arrive in the United States? Does the student expect to be in the class for a while and regularly? Does the student have concerns such as that immigration will come take members of their family, or that they will be persecuted in some way by other members of American society? If so, these concerns could interfere with coursework. How do teachers find out about immigration? Often, teachers can gently ask an older family member or find records. Have students tell stories about their journey, draw pictures, and otherwise relay their story to you or to other members of the classroom community. Sometimes these stories come out over time. Sometimes they require the help of the special education or other teacher at the school. Before you get all this information, to help you do your planning, there are several things you can do. Observe and confirm all of your students behaviors, and achievements. Look and see what they do well and what they might need help with, and be sure that that's what that is before you act on it. The first day, give students a buddy who is responsible for helping them get around the school and understand what is to be done. Research shows that study buddies are often what leads to student achievement. Use generic topics and slang-free language. Make it as easy as possible for the students to understand what you're asking. There are other ideas, such as a first day card, which gives students pictures of essentials: toilet, drinking fountain, telephone, Band-Aid, clock, to help them out in understanding the most important things that they might need and to help you when they point to the picture. You can also start simple. Ask questions with one-word answers, but make sure that they're not yes-no questions, because it's easy to answer yes or no to a question that you don't understand. When you do know this information about your students, plan instruction that addresses the needs of all students in the class. Even those who don't yet speak English can be connected to the lesson in many ways. These issues, creating and teaching language objectives, connecting to students' lives, and assessment, are explained in other videos in this series. Now, find out what you understand with this quiz. When you finish, move on to other videos in this series.